Hi, this is going to be a video in which I'm going to tell you what I believe are the top 5 best apps for nutritionists. So I'm going to try to make an honest comparison. And basically, this is for any nutritionist or dietitian out there, especially if you're running a practice or if you are handling clients, doing consultations, meal plans, any of that. And there are so many apps out there, and choosing the right app can really catapult you to success. You can do your work more efficiently, you can save time, you can provide extra services that may be hard to do otherwise, such as meal planning. So I'm going to just do my best and show you what I believe are the best apps out there and why. And it's obviously there are so many apps out there, right? And whenever there are commercial interests, you have to ask yourself, why should I trust this person? So basically, my name is Diego, and I am the co-founder of NutriAdmin.com. So just let's address the elephant in the room, which is this is an app for nutritionists. So I'm going to be talking about my own app, but I'm also going to talk about competitors, not just myself. And I'm going to provide you with accurate, objective data that you can verify yourself, as well as with tools so that you can do your own research, your own critical thinking, and you don't have to take what I say at face value, because obviously I'm going to be biased. So, right. So let's preface this with what are the benefits of the right apps. And as I mentioned, you can save time in repetitive tasks. You can, but not only that, you can open new avenues for income. So, for instance, some of the people I've worked with, they are able to provide meal plans by using the right tools to make them effectively, and this opens new opportunities for making more money. So you can keep peace of mind by knowing that your records are kept in a HIPAA compliant or GDPR compliant system. You can show professionalism to clients by providing them with stunning looking documents. There are many things you can do, right? And what I want to emphasize is that it may be relatively hard to switch from one app to another. So I think that there's research in psychology that shows that whenever people are presented with many choices, they tend to settle too quickly for the first decent choice. And that is because testing many alternatives is tedious and time consuming, and nobody really wants to do it. But given that you may use an app for work, like not just, any app for a profession, like an app for a nutritionist or dietitian, you may use it for decades. You may use it really for a long time. So if, given that it's hard to switch, wouldn't it be a good idea to test out a few apps now if you're considering different apps, and just at least test 3 or 4 or 5 and pick the best one, and then you can be like the best one for you, and then you can be more confident long term that you're going to be more effective. So that's what I want to emphasize, that you shouldn't just quickly choose anything without giving it much thought, because you will regret it later and it may be too hard to switch later. So, right. So why trust me if I am biased, right? So, well, even though I am biased because I run NutriAdmin, I can tell you that there's value I can bring to the conversation, because for once I have a lot of experience in apps for nutritionists. We started NutriAdmin back in 2016. So since then, I've seen many apps come and go, and I've spoken to my clients, my users, which are nutritionists, and they will tell me, sometimes, they tell me, I'm sorry, but your app is not working for me. I'm going to switch to this other competitor. And sometimes they tell me the other thing around. They tell me, oh, I was trying this competitor and your app is so much better. So depending, I've heard both sides of the story. And I know different things of the industry, that like I have some insider knowledge because I work daily with nutritionists that need software. So I can tell you what I know, and then you can decide for yourself if the information I'm presenting to you seems reasonable. And I encourage you to check. You should check other sources of information as well. Don't just take what I say at face value. Don't just take what anybody says at face value. It's just you should do your own research, check at least different sources. It's like reading a newspaper. You cannot just pick a newspaper from somebody that has some agenda and run with it. If you do that, you're going to be brainwashed. You want to do your own thinking and equip yourself with knowledge and facts, and ultimately make an informed decision. And that's what this is all about. So let's address then, so why would you listen to me other than the reasons I've mentioned? So another thing is that I just want to emphasize an app like ours, like NutriAdmin, and I suspect this is the same for every app for nutritionists and for every software as a service app out there. So we only make money on long-term users. So about 95% of our income comes from long-term users. By that I mean people that use the app and it meets their needs and they stay for years and years and years. And in contrast to that, there are people that try the app and they try for a little bit and then they cancel within a week, or even if they cancel after a month or two, maybe they'll ask for a refund, or like really whenever somebody signs up for the app and they needed some set of features and we don't have those features, then we're not able to really satisfy this person, so they're gonna leave. And it is the same for every app. So basically there's no use for everybody signing up for my app in droves. Like, I only really want the right type of customer to sign up. And by the right type, I mean somebody that will have, like everybody's requirements are different. You may have a different budget, different feature requirements. You may be in a specific country that has some specific laws, or you may need foods or recipes in a particular cuisine. You may need some integration with some system. And, there's no single app out there that's going to be the best for everyone, because at the end of the day, the companies that make the app, they have to make choices and specialize and decide to focus on different aspects. It's the same with pretty much any category out there. There's just very few categories where there is a monopoly, where one company just dominates. In the majority of cases, there is a variety of options, and it makes sense to try a few and to see what works best for you. So that's why, I'm only really interested in, if you watch this video, if you learn about us and you find that NutriAdmin is a good fit for you, that would be great for me. But by no means think that I want everybody to sign up, because I know that the app may not be the best fit for everyone. Depends on your requirements, of course. And then another thing I want to touch upon is I'm going to talk about competitors as well. And this is a bit of a taboo about companies. Like, I think that there are companies out there that sort of, they pretend there are no competitors out there. And they're like, oh, if I tell my customers about my competitors, they will leave my company. And, and really this is silly, because it's not a secret. It's not like anybody with an internet connection can go online and look up for a competitor. It's the same with, it's like, you walk in the street and you see a restaurant and you see many other restaurants, and you're going to go to your favorite restaurant still if it's your favorite, even if you are aware of many other options. And it's the same for software. It's really, there's no point in hiding the competitors, because you will probably know who they are already. And if not, you can Google them very easily. And at the end of the day, you will try a few options and you will stick with your favorite. So what's the point in hiding them? But this being said, though, if you search for nutritionist software, you may find hundreds of options, and this list is excessive. And the reason you find hundreds of options is because often when people compile lists, they're going to add some more general purpose apps out there. So there's a bunch of apps, a category of apps that sort of could be used by a nutritionist. So, for example, would you think something like Zoom or Skype or even Gmail, is this an app for a nutritionist? Well, not in my opinion. In my opinion, this is an app or a tool that a nutritionist can use as part of their work. Like, everybody has email and a phone and other common apps. But then this discussion today is more about specialized apps for nutritionists that allow you to do most of your work or a significant percentage of your work in one app. So these are apps that have been designed for the needs of nutritionists and dietitians specifically, and to a lesser extent also maybe health coaches or anybody working in nutrition. There's a variety of professions. And, in our case, for example, so I've been writing NutriAdmin since 2016, and I would consider, out of all the apps out there, the competitors that I've heard the name of most often they're called Nutrium, Practice Better, That Clean Life, and Evolution Nutrition. And there are a few others, but basically whenever somebody cancels our software and they say we're going to a competitor, these are the names I hear more often. But at the same time, when somebody joins NutriAdmin and they say they tried another competitor, they tell me these are the competitors we tried. So what this tells you is that these seem to be some of the most popular apps on the space that most people are trying, and they're relatively addressing the same target market, the same customers, nutritionists running practices or they need to do analysis of nutritional data. And that's why the names come over and over. And that's why there are some other more niche apps out there that perhaps address a very specific thing. And we don't hear those very often because they don't address the needs of the majority of nutritionists. And you don't just have to take what I say at face value. You can do your own research and you can check online. So this video, if you check the description for this video, I'm linking to the article where I discuss the same topic. And there are some links on different websites. Some of them are websites from our competitors, and some are made websites from third parties that have that are completely unrelated to us. And they mention our name and the names of these competitors and some other competitors all together on the same list. So you can check the linked resources and see that what I'm saying is not just me saying it. There are other people out there that are putting together this group of companies. Right. And, I want to say also there is no best app for everyone. That's just a myth. And sometimes you'll hear a company saying we are the best, and but can you prove that? Do you have some data? Because it's just very easy to say we are the best for everything, but unless you demonstrate it with data, and realistically, nobody's the best for everyone. Otherwise, there would be a single app. How can there be several successful businesses out there selling a similar product if one of them is just the best? Like, that's just not very honest. I think that we are the best for certain type of people. Because some of our customers tell us that we are the best for them, but we have also had loads of customers that tried the app and it didn't work out for them. So clearly we were not the best for them. And it's the same for every business out there pretty much. So except like maybe a monopoly like Google search is perhaps the best search. But for the majority of business, for a restaurant, for a brand selling clothes, everybody has their favorites. So there's room for multiple businesses. And I want to emphasize that. So sometimes I've heard both things. I've heard people cancel our software and say, "Oh, I'm leaving you for Nutrium or Practice Better." And I've heard the opposite. I've heard, "I try Practice Better or Nutrium, but your app is better." So depends on the person, depends on your requirements, and ultimately you have to decide what is best for you. And then so this is perhaps a bit up for debate. Like, not everybody thinks the same way as I do. These are my thoughts and my opinion based on my experience. And if you Google any sort of product ranking out there, in my opinion, is not very trustworthy because there's a lot of anything to do with commercial products. There's money involved. So people are going to be biased and are going to try to steer the conversation towards their own product because obviously they're going to make money if they sell their product. Not just that, often if you search what are the best products for category X, you're going to find a list. And if anytime you find a list like that and it's full of advertisements, that's probably because some marketer thought, I'm going to rank for this keyword in Google and people are going to see these ads and I'm going to get money from the advertisements. So I wouldn't trust that personally. And then on the other hand side, you may find, this, I'm making a video and I'm making an article including my own company. So obviously, whatever I say, you have to verify and evaluate critically if you think it's reasonable or not. Don't just trust me because I have a vested interest in selling my software. And it's the same with every other company out there. And basically, be just mindful of the information you read, compare different sources, do your own research, and just try to check unbiased sources of reviews, like perhaps user reviews or recommendations of friends or people, colleagues, educational institutions, and people that don't have a stake in any specific product, so that you can get a more rounded view and you're not just blindsided by somebody's marketing material. So with that in mind, I'm going to move on to how to find the best apps for nutritionists. And I think that the best way to do this is you need to compile a list, and so you need to first get a bunch of examples, a bunch of good apps that could be worth your time considering, and then you need to test them and you need to decide. So how do you find that list? So I think that I'm going to give you my own list of what I think are the best apps, but I'm also going to explain why. And this is a lot of this is based on software reviews from users. So I think the best place for reviews is called Capterra, and there are some others out there. There is Software Advice, GetUp, there is G2 Crowd, which is a competitor to Capterra. But whenever you Google best software for something, like best software for nutritionists or best apps for nutritionists, Capterra tends to be at the top of the list. So they seem to be the dominant player in this for software reviews. And many people haven't heard about Capterra because you probably have used Google Maps or Yelp for restaurants, or maybe you've used Amazon reviews for products you buy, or IMDb for films, TripAdvisor for holidays. So those are bigger companies for general purpose items like holidays, restaurants, etc., that everybody can buy. But then when it comes to software specifically, I mean, if you check, for instance, the App Store for an app and you just see a review and a comment, that can be helpful, but it's not going to be very specific or structured. It's going to be more like the opinion of someone. And a place like Capterra specializes on reviews for software, so it allows you to compare software, to put software side by side, different products, and it allows you to check specific features, price points, how well they do customer support, which platforms are supported, like is this a native app, or is it a website, or is it an app that you have to install in your computer? So you're gonna get all of this. And again, if you don't believe me, that's completely fine. You should just Google and find what you think is the best place for reviews for software. If you may believe it's something else, but you should use a place like that compiles reviews and where the reviews are unbiased and verified, because in Capterra, the reviews are verified. Like, they have a team of people that make sure that these are real people. They will ask for your ID documents, or at least to check some evidence online that you are the person you claim to be when you submit a review. And they only allow actual users of a software to submit a review. So they will ask you for screenshots proving that you are a user of a particular app before you can submit a review. And they focus on software. So you're going to get, in my opinion, the best quality reviews in there. And all the competitors I'm mentioning have reviews in there. So I'm not just promoting this site because our app looks particularly good in there. It's just, I think the data suggests that this is the best place. There are other places, as I said, so you should check. And the limitation of Capterra is that if you check software for nutritionists, you're going to find, like, at the time of making this video, there are 87 apps in there. And in my opinion, some apps really shouldn't be there, or because they're not really for nutritionists. Like, there are about half of the apps are just for managing appointments in there. And that's because, I mean, if all you need is, like, everybody needs to manage appointments, including nutritionists. And like, some nutritionists will use some apps for managing appointments. So if that is what you need, then probably there are apps out there that just do appointments. They're going to do appointments very well, and it's going to be probably cheaper. So if that's all you need, I mean, you can do it for free with Google Calendar, probably. For a lot of people, it would work. So that's the listing. Capterra has 87 apps, which is a lot, because it includes very generic apps like that. And it also includes related apps, like apps for personal trainers or fitness professionals that don't really have a focus in nutritionists. So the list I'm going to give you today is just, it's going to cut out, there's also apps in there that have very bad reviews or no reviews, or they're no longer maintained. So I'm going to try to remove all of these irrelevant or less related apps and focus on the ones that specialize for nutritionists. And this is, again, based also on my own experience working on this industry for more than 7 years. So now I'm gonna switch to a screencast, and I'm gonna show you my screen and discuss some different topics so that you can have a look. Hi there. So this is nutriadmin.com/blog. So you can find the article in there, and there are some useful links, like I mentioned earlier. You can see, for example, links to third-party sites in here that we are not affiliated with that mention, corroborate some of the things I'm saying, and there's other useful links in here that you can, so you can do your own research, including links to Capterra. So I'm going to show you Capterra quickly, and they have this category, dietitian software, and you can see a lot of apps in here, 87 as I mentioned. So the first thing to notice is, by default, they are sorted by sponsored. So what that means is that this, you see how these ones have a orange button. So these top three, these companies have paid money to be on the top. So that doesn't mean they're necessarily better or worse. They just paid money to be on the top. So it's similar to Google Ads at the top. And then after that, this is going to show you the apps by the number of reviews. So this one has 3,000, 2,000. And if you notice, the top ones, they're not really apps for nutritionists. This is for managing bookings. This is for personal trainers. This one is for personal trainers. This is for anybody managing a private practice in general. Trainers. This is just for appointments. This is for personal trainers. And then you come to the first one. So NutriAdmin is for nutritionists specifically. This is for appointments as well. This one is also for nutritionists, healthy. I mentioned it in my article, and so on. And then if you go to the bottom, there's multiple pages. You're going to have apps that just have one review or no reviews. So these ones are probably not really worth your time, because any company that is serious about what they're doing, they're going to have a lot of reviews and they're going to focus on this. So you can see that many of these ones, like some of them may not even be maintained, or they may be, I may be wrong. By all means, check. Don't just trust what I say. But that's just to give you an overall view of how it works. You can sort by highest rated. And if you do that, it's going to be the highest rated at the top. But you may get some apps up here in the top that it seems like they weighted, like this one has 5 stars, but for nutrition coaching, but I personally never heard of them. They have a small number of reviews, but it could be worth considering. You should obviously do your own research in here, and there are other apps for reviews. I just think Capterra is one of the best ones out there. And now, based on the reviews in Capterra and based on mainly what I've heard from actual users, so this is where I bring my knowledge. So since I've been running NutriAdmin since 2016, I can show you when somebody cancels the subscription in my software, they get this checklist, and I ask them the reason they're canceling. And about 5% of people cancel because of a competitor. Majority of the time when people cancel is because they don't have clients, or it's too expensive for them, or they're just starting out, or it's temporary, like they're taking a break. And every now and then somebody cancels because of a competitor, and the names they mention most often are the ones I'm going to mention here. And I should say, as I mentioned earlier, it's the same. It goes both ways. Like sometimes people, like if you check, for example, NutriAdmin in Capterra, you can see that read all reviews. So some of them will tell you, see, these are alternatives that they've considered. So they've considered this one, they've considered Nutrium, they considered Nutritune, NutriAssistant, like this person has considered a lot of them. In fact, like most of them I'm mentioning in the software. These are all independently submitted, by the way. Like this is outside of my control. Like I cannot really edit any of these reviews. They're verified by Capterra, and it's the same for all my competitors. So if you check their reviews, you can see who are the competitors that they're using. Not everybody will tell you in their reviews, but you can verify and do your own research that way, and you can see what are the pros and cons, obviously, with every review. And that's sort of how Capterra looks like. So the short list of 5 apps that I'm going to show you are the following. So NutriAdmin, so this is my own app, and here's the website, nutriadmin.com. We have 4.7 out of 5 stars in Capterra, and we provide an all-in-one software for nutritionists, also personal trainers and wellness professionals. You can create meal plans, and you can manage all your clients in one place. And we have a free plan, although it has heavy limitations. we have a cheaper plan at $25 a month, and we offer a free trial. And crucially, so our aim is to offer an all-in-one solution. So we have client records, meal plans, and both the admin features and the meal planning features. Then Nutrium is another competitor we have. We were founded in 2016. They were founded a year before. Their website is nutrium.com. They're rated 4.2 out of 5 stars, and the features they offer are similar to ours. They also they aim to provide an all-in-one solution, and they provide both meal plans and client records and admin features. I tried to check their pricing, but it seems that they don't publish it publicly. They used to do in the past, but I checked today. I'll change this if I find out what the pricing is. And I think they offer a free trial. You obviously, when I make these tables, these may get out of date, so you should check their website for the latest information. And yeah, they seem to be an all-in-one solution that does both meal plans, nutrition aspects, and also client records. Then you have Practice Better, also founded in 2016. Their website is practicebetter.io, and they have 4.7 out of 5 stars in Capterra. And their goal is more, I think, to focus on the practice aspect, practice management. So I don't think they have a meal plan component, but they have more focus on practice management for wellness and nutritionists. So you're going to find that they have a lot of depth and integrations and features on that aspect. They start at $25 a month, and they offer a 14-day free trial. So so far these three, Nutrium, NutriAdmin, and Practice Better, there's a lot of similarities. It's similar pricing, good reviews, and free trial, similar features. Perhaps, Practice Better focuses more on the practice side, no meal plans. But they are, comparable. And then when you check, then there are other options that are a bit more specialized. So That Clean Life, it has good reviews as well, and similar pricing, $30 a month, although no free trial option. That I couldn't find one. But this one is more focusing on meal planning, so no practice management features. And they are not in Capterra, but they are in G2 Crowd, which is a similar website. Like as a competitor to Capterra, they have similar features. And then there is Evolution Nutrition, which is an older one. They have 4.3 out of 5 stars, and it's more expensive at $59 per month. And mainly they do meal planning with no practice management features as far as I can tell. So these are the top 5 that I've heard the most often. And then there are other apps out there. So others that people have mentioned include Healthy or Nutritics, Foodzilla. There are others that are more for trainers like Trainerize or My PT Hub, because, although at least in the NutriAdmin we focus mainly on nutritionists, but there's some overlap between the work you do as a nutritionist and as a fitness or strength coach or a personal trainer. Some of them want to manage patient records, or they would call it client records, and create meal plans for them. So sometimes they will use some of these apps. There are also some other free utility apps like MyFitnessPal Chronometer and many others. And there are, some people just are fine with pen and paper or using Word or Excel documents, especially if you're just starting out and have little clients. There are some general purpose apps out there like Visita or Google Calendar. You can use Zoom or Skype. And obviously, you need to evaluate depending on what you need. There's going to be different apps. But this list I've given you in here, these are the most, the top 5 complete apps for nutritionists running a practice or managing clients, where the goal is to focus on nutritionists specifically. It's not a big list because it's a relatively small niche. I think last time I checked a few years ago, and I think there were maybe 60,000 nutritionists/dietitians registered in the US Census of Labor data. So, for example, when you compare that with, doctors or lawyers, there's just probably over 1 million of them, or at least hundreds of thousands. So nutritionists and dietitians is a relatively smaller niche of professionals, and as such, the market only supports a smaller number of apps. So that's why the list is smaller. If you check something like, for example, software like, you check things like a business like a restaurant, you're going to have millions of them because everybody needs to eat, so they have a massive market. Right. And now, so I've given you that list, and those are what I believe, in my experience, are the best. Obviously, your opinion may be different, and you're welcome to try, and it depends on what you need. But then, yeah, I wanted to show you one thing that you can do with Capterra is to compare the apps. So sometimes you're going to see websites that compare themselves with other people. So we don't do that on NutriAdmin because I think it's just it's going to be unfair, really, and inaccurate. And I think you should never trust a company that is showing you a comparison table that they made themselves. Because if I put a table out there, I'm gonna frame it in a way that my company looks more favorable, and I'm gonna just put an emphasis on the features where we are really good, and perhaps not mention the features that we don't have. Like, isn't it suspicious sometimes when you see those tables that have a list of features and the company that's making the table is miraculously the best in everything? Like, I think that often that is a bit questionable. So instead of, but people like comparison tables. So what I've tried to do is I just use the tool at Capterra, and I've made the table that you're seeing here. And I'm going to show you how to do it. So you can go to capterra.com, or it's going to be, I'm in the UK, so it's .co.uk for me, but you can go to capterra.com, and you can scroll down. I think you can search for compare. Yeah, compare top choices side by side. So you can just click on any of these ones, and then you can add a product. So I'm going to add NutriAdmin, compare. I'm going to remove these other options. I'm going to add Nutrium, compare, Evolution Nutrition. There we go. I'm going to remove this one. I'm going to add Practice Better. And obviously you can add any other app that you want. This is an example. Practice, I think maybe it's with a space. There we go. So, in here you see starting price, although you should check this on the website of each company, because this may be inaccurate in here. Then you have the ratings. So this is number of ratings, so the average rating and the number of people that submitted a review. You can see all ratings broken down by ease of use, features, customer service, value for money, etc. Best for, a description, number of features, so you can see here the different features that are offered, and another data. And then you can check the individual profile of each business, and you can check their website. And now, why is this good? Is the reason I think this is a fair comparison is because, so I am the owner of NutriAdmin, so I have provided my own data for my own app, and it is my responsibility to keep it accurate. But the other data for the other companies has been provided by the respective people that work at those companies. So I cannot enter data for other companies, because obviously I would be biased and I wouldn't necessarily show you the best aspects they have. I wouldn't show you where they're better than us. So you can check the different companies, and you can check the data in tables like this, knowing that at least it's going to be impartial and the data is supplied by the different companies. So I recommend you play around with this tool. You can find other tools in other websites for reviews perhaps. And that's why, if you check something like a review in the App Store, you cannot do these kind of comparisons, because there's just going to be a star rating and a comment in text. So now, for example, in this app, I just want to, I want to be fair and say that here you can say how NutriAdmin and Nutrium, we have all the boxes ticked for these features, because we both aim to provide an all-in-one solution. And then, for example, Evolution Nutrition is not ticking many of the boxes because they just focus on meal planning. They don't do any of the other things. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're worse. It means that they focus on meal planning. So if all you need is meal planning, you should check them, because maybe the meal planning they do is going to be very good if they specialize on that. And the same for Practice Better. They don't do meal plans, but they do specialize on practice-related things like client records. So if that's all you need, again, maybe they are better at that. And that's where a table like this has the limitation that it tells you, we all have this particular feature, but which one is the best at that feature? You don't really know. I mean, the reviews can tell you, but you have to test it yourself. So that's why, I mean, at the same time, sometimes apps have few features because they're just not a lot of resources have been invested in developing the app. So yeah, if you have an app that was just published last year, maybe they haven't yet had time to add all the features they want. So that's also a consideration. But don't just think that more apps or more features are better. You have to test the apps. And that's where we get to the part where I talk about testing out apps for nutritionists. So I think that nothing beats testing the app. And that's where you should do a free trial. If like the majority of apps offer a free trial option. And I mean, yeah, if they're not offering a free trial in 2024, then I think they're really sabotaging themselves because, yeah, people need to try the software really to know if it's gonna work or not. That's the experience I've had, like from running NutriAdmin. Every time people try the software, and often they tell me either it's amazing, I love it, or they tell me, oh, sorry, it doesn't do what I need, or more rarely they tell me, yeah, I like it, but I'm considering a couple of options, so I'll let you know. It's like very close. I'll let you know which one I like best. So that's what the trials are for. I mean, if an app doesn't have a free trial, you can consider paying for a month and then canceling, or at least checking some videos or checking some reviews to see what you think. But ideally, you would do a free trial. And I put together this list, so you see on the screen a checklist that you can follow if you want, or you can make your own checklist. But basically, I think you should at the very least compile a list of the apps you want to consider. And I've given you what I think are the top 5, but you may have different opinions. So just add as many apps to the list to consider that, like, if you want to try my app, that's good for me, but you may not want to try it. You don't have to try it. If you don't think we meet the requirements you need, or you don't like it for any reason, you can keep it out. Just make the list of the apps that you think make sense for you. Then I think if you make a long list, you should just curate the list a bit so you can remove anything, for example, like apps that don't have reviews or that are outside of your budget, or apps that are just not going to be working for you. And then you should do the free trials, where the free trial is going to allow you to tell, for instance, how good the customer support is, and how, like, you should try to do a sample of your regular work. So for instance, if you do meal plans, you should create a meal plan. And if you do consultations, you can do a pretend consultation with a mock client. And this way you can see how, if the app brings you value or not. And after you do a few of these tests, at least try 2 or 3, ideally more, but I'm aware that this takes time. And you may try just 2 or 3 and find one that you really like already. And then just, you can stick with it once you've tested a few options, and you're going to be confident that you did your research and that you found a good app. And then, you shouldn't forget to cancel any other free trials in other apps, just in case. You shouldn't forget to do that. So that's it. So, in conclusion, what is the best app? So the answer is it depends. Depends on who you are, what you need, your budget, the features you need. And then, every now and then you will hear companies saying, we are the best. And, okay, show me the evidence. Like, I'm making claims. I think at NutriAdmin we are really good, but it's not just because I say so. It's we have amongst the highest reviews amongst the people the other companies you've seen here. But, for example, in Capterra, we are tied with Practice Better for the best reviews. And then Nutrium has lower reviews, but they're a big company. They're bigger than us, so they may be able to do some things that we cannot do. At the same time, they won't have the same focus that we do, because our only software, we just make software for nutritionists. Nutrium does software for nutritionists, but they also do a bunch of other projects. So it all depends on who you are, what you need, what the company is offering. And at the end of the day, you should do the test, do your own research, do your own critical thinking. Hopefully you found this guide useful, and you should also check other people, ask your colleagues, do your own research, find independent sources of advice, and at the end of the day, inform yourself so that you're an educated consumer and you can make an educated choice instead of just grabbing the first thing that showed up without really giving it much thought. So I hope that helps. Thank you for watching, and I have links to all the app in here and all the apps, and when you're ready you can try them out. And if you have any questions about this video or any comments, or you want to reach out to me personally, you can go to nutriadmin.com, and we have a contact form there, so you can write and I will personally reply to you. especially if you mention this video, I will reply to you. So thank you for watching and hope you have a nice day.